Hello and welcome to the Change Gang podcast with me, your host, Laura Ordile. I'm here to help you hold on to your sanity and your soul as you move through big change. I'm here to guide you from frustration to flow in your life, bridging the practical and the woo, just for you. Let's go. Welcome to the week, Change Gang. We're going to talk a little bit about the energetic connection of the subconscious to our physical world and what exactly that means. And it means exactly what I just said, but it is a story that I want to tell you about someone that I've been working with, a client. Obviously, I'm not going to share the name or anything like that about it. And I wanted to tell you that I'm working with her through some stuff, and she wanted to get rid of some of the symptoms in her life that she's struggling with and some of the things that are happening that she no longer wants to have happening. We decided to go ahead and do my Highlands Hypnosis Trauma Program with her. And for those of you that are familiar with that, great. If you're not, go to my website, have a look at it. Go to lauraordile.com and have a look at that. But it's basically, it works with all the symptoms of trauma, and it goes in and it clears those things. And it's usually happens within a 6 to 7 week schedule where all of that can be cleared and taken care of, and you don't have to deal with all those difficult symptoms anymore. So we started out for her with that in mind. When she originally contacted me, it was going to be a little something different, but I thought, hey, this is actually going to work really well for you, I do believe. So let's do this. I had a conversation with her. We decided, yes, let's go ahead. So we started. And we started the process. And for the first one, you go in and it kind of gets you ready for the work that you're going to do ahead. It brings things in a positive light. It lifts things up. It brings them into a good place where most people feel pretty good, at least for a little while after they do it. That first session. So we did it. And honestly, I think that one might have gone pretty dang good. And I meant to look at some notes before I hopped on here, but to see exactly the way that it went. But I'm almost positive that one went pretty good. And then we dive in after that into the next program and the next one. And the next ones go deep. Each one of these go deep into the subconscious. So they really relax you or really take you down into what they call somnambulism, which is a deep place of hypnosis, a deep place of relaxation, basically, where you are just, even if you're sleeping, it's okay. I don't care if people fall asleep. That's great. I can still talk with the unconscious and have that interchange that I need to have. And from there, it does the work. Our subconscious is always doing the work that we need it to do. For the most part, by the second session, when the work started, she had some things to start happening. And it might have even happened in the first one. I almost think it did. And I just can't remember it because I remember talking to her in this last session and it said every time we would have a session from this point on, there was an interruption in the process. So one time I had her partway under and somebody came to the door. She had to let them come in and take care of something, and they left. It's like, oh, sorry, got her back into that relaxed mode, got her going, relaxed, went through the process. And the next time, I don't remember if it was an animal or a person again that needed in or out of a door. And so we got interrupted again. Now, the interesting part was it was a little further in this time. We got a little further into the process. We got interrupted again. Okay, got her back in, got her moving along. We finished it. And it's like, okay. So then we came in again to another session. I think it was her phone. Her phone went off. Again, a little further into the session. So each week we were having these interruptions. And then I think we actually, with the next one, we got even a little further. And I don't remember the interruption. I do remember that there was an interruption. At that point, it was also an interruption in the actual process, because I try to go week to week with this particular process. I try to go through it every week. We do a different session to stay in flow. Sometimes it'll be 2 a week, or sometimes we have to space it out to 2 weeks within the 2-week period, but I try not to go further than that. However, because of some situational stuff that was going on, it didn't happen, and she didn't feel comfortable booking, and some other stuff happened in life. So it was literally 2 months before we got back together and we're having a session again. I had to decide, do we start over? Do we pick up where we left off? What do we do? And I decided, you know what, we're going to pick up where we left off. We're going to go with that. And so I did, picked up where, and can you guess what happened? Yes, there was an interruption in that, further into it. And so then with this last one, it's not the last session. We have one more session, but with the last session that we had, we were going along, and I thought, oh my goodness. I mean, we were really close to getting to the end of it. And I thought, oh goodness, we're not going to have any interruptions this time. We're going to get all the way through this. But I also noticed, because I am paying attention to the reactions of what's going on physically with the person as I'm doing the session and stuff, can see them usually, the facial expressions, the body things. And I could tell that just as in some of the other places, especially when I knew that she'd had a difficult session, her body was telling me a lot about what was going on in that too. And I noticed that happening in this particular session. And I thought, wow, And so I kind of almost kept waiting for the interruption, but I was really excited, really glad that we were getting to the end of the session, even though I knew that she was having some responses. This is going to go okay. And literally within, I probably had another couple of minutes, couple paragraphs or something in what I needed to kind of close things up and kind of get all the way through the process. And she had a shower curtain in the bathroom fall down, because she literally flew up out of the hypnosis, and she's like, something's happened, something fell. And so she had to get up and go out and go find it. And I just couldn't even believe it. I thought, what is happening? What is going on? So she got up and did that and came back. And of course, we were close enough to the end at that point that I kind of just walked her through a little bit and encouraged her to go through and let that settle a little bit. And then we talked about it for a minute. We talked about this. And before, while she was going up to check what had happened and what was going on, before I knew it was the shower rod, which nobody was in the room. There were no animals in it. It was a closed off room, and the shower rod just simply fell. It just fell. So there was no way. It wasn't her phone in her room. It wasn't somebody even at the door, which you can't control either. But it was something that totally unexpected, totally not by anybody's touch or anything. That was an interruption. And I was thinking about it as she walked away and came back, and I went, oh, okay, because I knew she was bucking some of it, not her subconscious, the parts inside of her that were struggling with what was going on and struggling to change the things that she wanted to change, were kind of kicking back. And you might say, well, what does that got to do with anything? Well, this is where I want to talk to you about the subconscious connecting with our physical world energetically. Because for those of you that believe it, we create our world, and I believe this, we create our world with our thoughts. Our thoughts come from our beliefs and our understandings, and a lot of that is in our subconscious mind. And also in our subconscious mind are the parts of us that are struggling or not healed or fighting back against something. So why would you not think that those difficult parts, could be creating some of your physical reality? And I believe that that's what's been happening through the process of this. That's why we've been having interruptions all along the way, is because there is a part of her subconscious that is kicking back. And you might go, Laura, wow, that's a little kind of woo, that's a little deep, that's a little out there. But think about it for a minute. If you even believe a little bit that we have the ability to create our environment, to create what's going on in our life, why wouldn't that be possible? Why wouldn't it? If there's a part of her inside, which is in the subconscious mind, that part that is upset and frustrated and does not want to be healed yet, or does not want to change the behavior because that's what it knows and that's what it's stuck in, and it's not necessarily ready to negotiate. Why would that not happen? Why would it not be able to move a pole and have it fall down and interrupt the process that is changing the way that she moves forward, that is changing her subconscious thought patterns, that is changing everything, and trying to heal and negotiate and clear the parts that need to be cleared and reintegrate the things that need to be integrated and all that, so that she is functioning as a whole person. If this part is still upset and angry, why wouldn't it bring on someone to the door at just that time? Or why wouldn't it call to the animals at just that moment and have that interruption, so that it's like, no, kicking up, just like in the symptoms that she's having. That's part of that kicking up, that fighting back, or that irritation. And that's what happens in that process with our mind. So I found it super fascinating that that was happening once I realized what was happening. And I'm hoping to see, we have either 1 or 2 more sessions. We'll see how this week has gone when I connect with her. I'll be interested to see if we are going to get to the end this time without an interruption, or how far in, if there is an interruption, or if that one really made a difference and we got far enough to open the door to that healing and that integration for that part of her. We might need to take a little break and let it relax a little bit. Maybe it's been kicking because it's too difficult for her to reintegrate that right now. And that's kind of the decision. The decision that we'll be making is, do we relax it a little bit and just do a little bit of comforting work for that and then go in and finish the deep work? Or do we go ahead and anchor in that deep work and see where we're at? Maybe like I said, I haven't talked to her yet. I'm really curious to see what's changed during this last week, if anything. I bet there's something. When you think about the subconscious, one of the things that some people don't realize is that it is a direct connection to the universal energy, to the energy that's out there. To, you can call it the Akashic Records, God, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it is fine. I call it the universe. That's our direct connection to the universe. So when we're developing and changing our lives and doing the things that we want to do, we're going into that point in our subconscious and saying, here's the change we want. Here's what we want to have happen. Here's how we want to negotiate our life. And then through that, it's connecting to that universal energy and creating that life. And it's going to go out and find the information that we want, that we need to put everything into place to bring about the things that we want. That's why some of that visualization and things like that can be incredibly important, because visualization is a great way to have the conversation with your subconscious mind. It's showing it, here's what I want. And of course, it's going to filter it through some of the programming and stuff that it already has in there and decide, yes, let's do that. That's safe and that's going to make you happy and all those things. Or it's going to pull back and say, that's great, but it doesn't fit into the programming that we already have. That's when you go in with me or another hypnotist and you change the programming. You hit the reset button and you say, all right, we're going to start fresh. We're going to bring everything together. We're going to allow some of that programming to be changed, delete the files that we no longer need, add in anything we do, and go forward. And through that, we have that whole thing reset in our mind, again, going out, connecting to that universal energy, and through the law of attraction, through visualization, through all of those things that whatever you believe in, through prayer, through thought, through attraction, just attracting the things that you want, manifesting the things that you want, it happens that way. I hope that makes sense to you. I hope that you understand that a little bit, and that maybe that clarifies some things for you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it makes it a little weirder for you. Or maybe you think that my story, that there's a part of her subconscious that's creating outside interruptions, is a little crazy. And that's okay. You can think that. What if that's exactly what's happening? That's how powerful those parts of us are. That's how powerful they are. Think about, I'm sure you've heard the stories of people with like multiple personalities. Those are parts of that person. And they are so strong that they come in and take over the whole person and live in this life and create the things that they want in this life. And they make decisions and they do all of that straight up front by holding on to this whole other identity of self, right? They might have different names. It's a part of that person that was created to protect them in some way. And it's become so big and so intense in that life that it comes to the conscious part of life and directs things consciously. Most of the time, those parts of us stay in the subconscious and kind of do it under subterfuge. They do it in sneaky ways, and they do it by us having a behavior that we don't necessarily enjoy about ourselves because that little part is irritated, upset, sad, mad, whatever it is, and needs some attention and some acknowledgement and some awareness to be able to clear some of that. So in the meantime, we are in the physical feeling crappy. We're having headaches. We are having weight issues. We are having IBS issues. We are having all the things happen. Hypervigilance, insomnia, anxiety, depression, all the different things that can come. And there's so many. Such a huge list. It's crazy. But all of those things are physically manifested in your body. So why would you not think that it could physically manifest something happening outside your body? Because you already do. You already manifest the people that you bring in your life. You already manifest the jobs that you bring into your life, the money, the animals, the friendships, the situations. We bring those into our lives. I know a lot of people think, well, kinda, maybe not. I didn't decide this or I didn't do that. But if you're going to take responsibility for the good things or the things that you did bring into your life, you're going to have to take responsibility for the things that maybe were not so great for whatever reason that came about. And it could have been that your subconscious was trying to protect you from the change or from something that if you continued on a particular path, it didn't fit with the programming that it had in your mind already. And remember that programming is coming from a very early age. That subconscious programming starts sometimes even before birth and can move, into about, I think it's the first 7 years or so, 5 to 7 years, where you're setting the parameters for your life ahead. I think we need to go update that, change that sometimes, because I don't want my life and my fears and all of those things from when I was 2 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old, running my life now. It's not going to work in the way that I want it to because I'm not that person anymore. Foundationally, I am, but I look at the world differently. I have different fears. I have different strengths to move me through something. So I don't want that to carry forward. I don't even want the version of me in my 10 years ago or anything like that. So it needs updating. Our files need updating, clearing, reconnecting, all of that in that process of doing things. And so it's a great thing to go in and have those conversations and do those resets with your subconscious mind and to affect your physical world. And if you're seeing things happening in your body, in yourself, or outside of yourself, like something keeps stopping you from doing the thing, moving in a direction, and it can literally be an outside thing, something happening outside of what you consider your influence. If that continues to happen, I would dare to say that you're having some part in that. And we need to go in and do that little reset and connect with that part of you that might be affecting the way that your life is going forward and allow it to work with you on the goals and desires and the happiness that you want to have in your life. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of that I just talked about and shared. And if you think that's crazy pants, or if you think, that's interesting, that might be quite right. And if you've ever noticed anything in your life like that happening. I think sometimes we see it happen most often when we are trying to move into something really big and change for our lives, like a career or starting something new in a business or a relationship, it happens oftentimes. Sometimes it'll happen through a fear process, which I've talked about before, where maybe you're ready to leave a relationship and you're moving through and you're ready and you're going to go and you're going to do it. And all of a sudden you have this big panic moment, this big giant fear. And it's like, no, I can't do it. I can't go forward. I can't do this. You might be leaving a job or something like that as well, where you just start backpedaling. Nope, can't make that change. No, it's not time. It's not the right time. No way, can't do it. And the fear kicks in and takes hold. And that is your subconscious saying, I don't have the right programming for you to make this change safely. So we're not going to let that happen. Or maybe you see it happen and you probably didn't, maybe until now, realize that you were influencing in some way where something of an outside nature continuously steps in and blocks the way. It might mean when you are really trying to adjust your thoughts and beliefs and directions with money, where you start, oh my gosh, yes, I have the flow of money coming in. That's wonderful. And then all of a sudden something happens outside of you that requires a large chunk of that money you just brought in. There's a part of you possibly creating some of that, attracting, bringing in that difficult thing that now is going to deplete it, put it back to where you're comfortable, where you're used to being inside those boundaries that it's aware of, even though it felt good to be on that roll and good to be moving in that energy. There's something still there that says, no. And it will create an outside event to stop the situation. Think about that. Have you ever had that happen? Pretty sure I have. Pretty sure I could think of lots of different things where that's happened in relationships and work and money and in so many different things in my personal feeling and progress. And so if you see that happening, think about that a little bit. Could that be something in my subconscious conflicting with what I want? And we're told all the time, when you feel good and you're in that good energy, it helps to start develop those things that you want. It helps to change the process. And it absolutely does. I will not say that it doesn't. However, I'm going to say that if you clear the way to begin with, if you go in and you do those resets at that subconscious level and you have those clearing out of some of those other parts of yourself that might try to hold you back or might try to block your way, or even just the subconscious itself that has these programs written in already, if we can change that a little bit, we're going to go in and your change from that point forward is going to be quicker, easier, and more complete. So yes, you can absolutely make those changes in the other ways where you're creating the good feelings and you're doing the things and all that, but it's going to take longer and it might be a more difficult path. And you might just see parts of it happening in your life where, yeah, that's kind of good, but this is not so good over here. And instead of it being complete and whole and you flourishing in all parts of your life, because oftentimes there's thoughts in that process in your mind that say you can have one of those things. You can have a happy relationship, but then don't think that you're going to have this wildly successful business, because that just doesn't work in your mind. We know from when you were growing up that that doesn't work. We watched your parents or we watched this over here. And so the programming inside your head says that can't work. But yes, it can. Yes, it absolutely can. Just need to rewrite that part of it. I hope I explained the story enough with my client and that it was a little bit interesting to you to see what was going on, what could happen, and what you think about that. Send me a note. Send me a comment. Send me a message somewhere along the way that says, yep, I totally believe that. I've seen it happen in my own life. Or, no, that was just coincidence. I don't happen to believe in coincidence. But if you do, that's okay. That's your thing. So do tell what your thought is. And I'd love to chat with you anytime. If you would like to go in and do some resetting of your own, clearing of some of those parts, getting rid of some of those symptoms in your own life where maybe it is just that you're not moving forward in the way that you want to, you're not having the success that you truly know that you can have. I can help with that. And I would love to help with that. All right, guys. I hope that you have a great week and that you meet me right here, same time next week. Ciao.
I hope today's episode was interesting,
to you in some way and fun? If so, hey, find someone to share it with. Maybe they need to hear it too, or maybe they'll just enjoy it. If you'd like, go ahead and grab my tips on supercharging your success. It includes a free short meditation to do just that. You can find that at bit.ly/supercharge your success. Until next time, happy day.